Okay, people get kicked out of campgrounds for all kinds of reasons, and most of the time it's justified. But sometimes you get kicked out of a campground for a really silly reason, so we're going to talk about some of those right now. Now, what got me thinking about this is there's a young couple with children. I don't know these people personally. They seem like nice people. I'm going to link their video down below in the description. But they're in Colorado and they get kicked out of a private campground. And a private campground just means it's owned basically by an individual or a company, whereas, public campgrounds are more of state parks, national parks, things like that. So this was a private campground. Generally, you pay a little more in a private campground. You tend to have a little bit nicer things. Of course, you're going to have full hookups and such, but there's going to be more rules. And hopefully those rules are enforced in order to keep everyone happy for the extra money that you're paying to be in a private campground of some type. Sometimes, however, the people running it or owning it take things a bit to the extreme, and things can go kind of wrong, like it did for this couple. So apparently this couple come in, they had pages of stuff for the rules, whether it was explained to them, whether they read it or not. The point, one of those things was you couldn't receive packages. So they had paid to be at this campground for 6 days. They were there a day or two and committed the ultimate sin of having a package sent there. The package got refused. The guy from the delivery service called them. The guy went outside of the campground, met them, got his package, came back in, and basically the campground owner said, "Hey, we're kicking you out tomorrow morning." So this guy went over to have a one-on-one conversation, and he says it went politely. I hope it did, because there's no point in escalating things. But then this guy decides that tomorrow isn't good enough. We're going to call the police right now and have you put out of here, and that is what they did. Another thing that generally happens in this situation is they don't have to refund you. Now, you can fight them to get the money back later, because usually you've done this on a credit card. If you've done this in cash, you're just out of luck, unless you want to come back to that area and take these people to small claims court. And, most people aren't going to go through all of that trouble. Did the guy running or owning this campground overreact? In my opinion, yeah, more than likely, absolutely. Even if this was in a written rule somewhere, I would think I had every campground rule memorized as long as I've been on the road doing this, and I agree with, or even if I don't agree with, I pretty much understand the reasoning behind rules that you have, and I have no problem following them. If I don't agree with those rules and don't want to follow them, then I don't stay there. It's that simple. I prefer to be more out by myself anyway, but sometimes in some areas you just really don't have a choice than to be in one of these places. Could the whole situation have been handled better by the person that owns this campground? Absolutely. I think as small as an infraction this is, a warning or a reminder would have been good enough. I don't understand the reasoning behind kicking this couple out. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know these people personally. So I'm trying not to take sides on this, but I am trying to open the debate up, and especially with some of you guys and gals that haven't been on the road a lot, just to throw out some of the odd things you're going to encounter. As far as odd things that we have encountered being on the road, this was in a government campground, federal, national, for Army Corps of Engineers is where this one was. Army Corps of Engineers paid campground that didn't have a 24-hour host. The police came through about 2 o'clock in the morning and decided we looked suspicious in our minivan, which if you watch this channel, you've seen pictures of, It looks as nice as anything else on the road. Even though it's a little bit older, there's no dents. The paint is nice. It doesn't have paint peeling off of it. I even went as far as replacing the headlights and things, so it, you know, it looks nice. But that didn't keep us from getting the knock on the door at 2 o'clock in the morning because we had an extension cord running into the van. That was the excuse anyway. Well, so did everyone else that had any kind of RV sitting down through there. And the other thing was we were a few spaces away, you know, further down from everybody else. It's because I don't want to be stacked 8 feet away from the next vehicle if I can help it. But that was enough to wake us up. Once he saw everything, once he saw that we really had a receipt and we had paid for this place, they were fine. In my opinion, they were just young, bored, had nothing to do. It was a weeknight. I think it was the wrong choice to come wake us up because then we had trouble going back to sleep. And the next day was going to be a more than average driving day for us as we had planned. So we, you know, not having a good night's sleep and having to drive a lot the next day is not a good combination, but it was what it was. Again, in that situation, officers, I think, overreacted. In the situation with this couple out in Colorado, the officers didn't take sides. The campground owner just calls the local officers. They come out and they sit there until the people pack up and drive away. They're not going to take sides. It's not their job, really, to take sides in that situation. It is a civil dispute. So you can go have it out in court with the other person. The only thing the police are there for is just to make sure things don't escalate. They don't want to get involved. They don't care. And especially, you're going to be coming through there. You're an out-of-towner. They know they're never going to see you again. That's just the way it's going to be. Let me know what you think about these issues and these stories down in the comment section. Did someone overreact? Did they handle it the right way? I am very big on responsibility, personal responsibility, rules enforcement. Again, I can think a rule's silly. If I think a rule's silly, it's not my job to fight it. It's my job just to not stay there or do business with the people. But this situation went a little sideways with something as simple as having a package sent to the campground, because many of us that are on the road for any length of time end up having to have packages sent places ahead of time when we're going to be there, or we schedule this. We're going to be there. We know we're going to have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night of next week. We plan on being somewhere, and we may, in my case, where I stay a lot of odd places out in the woods, I may specifically go to a campground for a couple of days because I have an important package coming. It may be something I need to make a repair with on one of the vehicles. So this, by no means, for this couple to have this package sent to a campground, by no means is that anything abnormal. But again, let me know your opinions on this topic. If you're wondering what to watch next, there's links to other recent videos down in the comment section. We'll talk soon.